Well, my name is Daniel Hopsicker, and I asked myself, as I waited to come on, what I could say to you that would be most useful to you. And I guess I've been asked to come up here and share my experience, strength, and hope, and what happened to me. So first, before I tell you what I found out, I'll tell you who I am, so you can judge a little bit better what I'm going to tell you. I was a business producer, spent 25 years living in Los Angeles, and I wanted to update a silly old show that was hosted by Leonard Nimoy, aired for 5 years in the late 70s, called In Search of Extraterrestrials, Pyramids on Mars, da-da-da-da. There was always a story in the middle that was pretty interesting and made you go, you know. So my associate producer sold me on featuring on what was going to be a half-hour pilot, a story that was then called America's Most Famous Unsolved Mystery. Been featured 3 or 4 times on that show. It's called The Train Desk. So I had 2 17-year-old high school seniors who were stumbling, larking at midnight in August in 1987, and they stumbled onto a drug drop and were murdered. So I got down to Arkansas to shoot this little 15-minute story. Now, and the first thing I'll tell you is that most people on this part of the country think that those of us from California are all wacky, okay? In some ways we are, but I can tell you, we had never heard of a drug drop before. We'd never heard those 2 words put together. We had never heard of a place where drugs and or cash rain from the sky, literally rain from the sky, regularly. But people in Arkansas have. And what I discovered is that people down there were afraid to talk to me. Well, nobody in California is afraid to talk. They'll talk about anything. People in Arkansas, people said to me, no, you don't understand. You're going to leave, and I have to stay. So I had never been in a place like that before, especially in my hometown, USA. And instead of doing a 15-minute feature on a half-hour silly pilot, TV pilot for a show nobody really needed, I did a 2-hour documentary based on allegations that the CIA was trafficking cocaine through Mena, Arkansas in the 80s to fund the Contras. No. Imagine that. And I took this 2-hour documentary back with me with pretty much conclusive proof that was indeed the case. And because I'm from the Midwest, there's just this basic naivete, okay, about those of us born and raised in the Midwest. You just never lose it. I thought somebody's going to give me a Pulitzer Prize, you know. And they gave it to my big dog friend in Hollywood who helped found HBO. And HBO at that time was running documentaries on racy topics. Spike Lee had a series of Sunday night things on racism in the South in the 60s. You know, and I thought, well, how about drug smuggling in Arkansas in the 80s? You know, there's a topic we haven't heard too much about yet, but no. And my big dog friend told me that my show would not air. And I thanked him for that, because only your friends will ever give you the truth in Los Angeles. The people that don't like you just won't return your calls. So there I was sitting with a $100,000 show upside down, and nowhere to go with it, and I'm a little angry. So I decided to write a book about the gentleman Barry Seal, who had been most instrumental in flying drugs down to the Contras, or flying rather weapons down to the Contras and drugs back. And in fact, Barry Seal should go down in history as being the man who brought military logistics to bear on moving narcotics, which is a major industry after all. I mean, it's number 1 or 2 industry in terms of foreign trade in the world. So if every drug van or drug plane out there had, you know, drug X on it, like FedEx, you know, it would be a common symbol. You'd be seeing them everywhere. If you think about it, you'd happen to see them everywhere. And it's an open secret, in fact. I mean, you can't. How do you hide from a government that can read to make your golf ball from outer space? That's our government. The biggest industry in the world today, which is the importation and sale of illegal narcotics. And the fact is, you can't. You can't. It's an open secret. And what an open secret is something that everybody in town knows about. About 1 hour in? Yeah. everybody in town knows about, but nobody's willing to admit. Okay? So, life became interesting at that point. I made friends with people that I'd never known before. Some of them were spooks. One of them was a nice old guy in Newport Beach, where I lived at the time. Retired, he told me. I later learned he wasn't. But he was an elder in the Presbyterian Church. Sweet man, sweet man. He had slept with a 45 under his pillow until he was 60. And I was happy to have this guy as a friend because I wanted to know if I was going way wrong, he would tell me because he liked me, and if I was going way right, he might tell me because he liked me, okay? At any rate, I'm sitting there with a $125,000 show that I can't sell or air, and grousing a lot. If only somebody had come to me and said, kid, you're getting in way over your head. Don't do this. Of course, if someone had done that, I'd have done it anyway. But now I'm saying after the fact, if only. So in a conversation, you know, I'm going to retail some anecdotes as we go along because that's what I thought of. In a conversation, he told me 3 times once, well, if they come to see you, you have to be willing to tell them what you want. He said that. You have to be willing to tell them what you want. One day he calls me up, and he has a friend he wants to bring in to meet me. And this is February in Newport Beach. It's the rainy season in California. We only have 2 seasons, dry and rainy. It's rainy season. But that's no excuse. My friend Dick brought this man, tall, distinguished gentleman, probably late 50s, early 60s. He was wearing a trench coat. Swear to God, he was wearing a trench coat. And my friend Dick introduced this man to me as the special advisor to the president of a large Midwestern institution. Well, later I found out that he had been, for many years, and was still at that time, the station chief in Madrid, which would have meant nothing. But I knew he was somebody, right? And he wants to see my show. So I'm showing him about a half an hour of Secret Heartbeat of America, the show I did about Arkansas and cocaine and Barry Seal. And I'm nervous. I'm thinking, because this guy's smart and has an imposing appearance, he's going to jump down my throat. And I'm sitting there tense. And when he'd seen enough, he said, you can stop it. And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and this is how smart these people are. Here's what he said. He said, everybody knows this. Everybody knows the government smuggles drugs. I was just in Costa Rica. I loaded drugs on the planes. I was just in Costa Rica. They're doing it down there. Everybody knows this. What do you want? Now what I'm about to tell you is true. For people that know me here might vouch that this sounds like me. What do you want? I should have said, give me my $100,000 back. But I'm from the Midwest. And so what I said was, everybody doesn't know that the government smuggles drugs. If everybody knew the government smuggled drugs, drugs would be legal. There's 2 million poor schmucks in prison in this country for selling basically small amounts, what you guys are bringing in by the trainload full. So everybody doesn't know. And I said, if it's no big deal, I said, put me in charge of cocaine distribution in North America next year.